Well, welcome back to Garage Clinic, where pretty much anything in the garage is fair game. I've made the mistake a lot of people have made, and when I was working on the undercarriage of the car, did a little spray painting and to make it look better and touch it up. Had the car covered in blankets and covers and stuff to keep it from getting on the paint. Didn't work out too well. It's more like there was an old MacGyver episode where he was able to fingerprint a glass using super glue and a plastic cover. Well, I kind of did the same thing because I've exposed a bunch of fingerprints on the car. Anyway, I've got overspray on the paint of the car. So, you know, I'm not a paint person, I'm not a paint expert. I seem to have made a couple of mistakes in trying to get it cleaned out. So what I wanted to do today is make a video to keep you guys from making the same mistakes that I did, and show you how the process to get this cleaned up, show you what I've learned anyway. So, we'll head on and I'll show you a couple of things. I'm going to try to use the camera to point out some details, so bear with me a little bit. We've got some movement to do, but hopefully you'll be able to learn something from it. Hopefully you can see the dark spot. Some of the darker places on this fender, well, that's the overspray. That's what we've exposed. And I'm going to show you a couple of the mistakes that I made in trying to get it off. See, when I was talking about the fingerprints before, that is a perfect example. The focus is here. Perfect example of having evidently the overspray trapped underneath the blankets. Got a couple spots up on the scoop, as you can see it up there. Let's see if you can hear this. Hear the roughness? If I go over here where I wiped it off a little bit, you don't hear so much. Over here, I've already buffed it. You can't tell much of anything, but yeah, I've got kind of overspray all over the place here. Look at the reflection on the top of that fender as we move forward. You start to see kind of a dead flat spot there. Hopefully you've been able to pick up on that rather sloppy video I just made. A couple of spots on the car that I've left that are dull, that where you can see the overspray, you can hear the overspray when you go to feel it. The first thing I did was wipe the car down with acetone. Acetone should be fine with a cured, hardened clear coat, but it definitely left some marks on it. So went to some friends of mine and got some advice on how to do this, how to clean it properly. So I figured you guys would be interested in seeing that. So this is how you clean the overspray off your car without making it worse. Okay, so we're going to chronicle the mistakes made. Mistake number one, using pure acetone. It should be safe, and it does clean the overspray off, but it left some flat spots, which you'll be able to see you've seen in the video. The really biggest mistake I made was started off using a colored microfiber cloth. So, you know, without thinking this through completely, when you put the acetone on the colored microfiber, the color from this actually bled into my white paint. So I had to very quickly go to a non-tinted microfiber cloth, back with acetone, and I was able to actually pull a lot of that color back out of it. So use auto body solvent, not acetone. It has acetone in it. It's got another blend. It's a little bit more gentle on the paint, so it doesn't leave the flat spots that I left in the beginning. So now I've got the auto body solvent. We're going to apply some of this and wipe it down, and it should take a good portion of that overspray off. It just kind of leaves the finish a little bit. It's completely stripped, so now you have to go back and buff it, polish it, and apply the wax to it. No doubt there are plenty of you that are experienced that are screaming into your computer right now that I should be using a clay bar, but it also could take several hours, days to do this. So the first thing I want to show you is the surface of this clay here is actually fairly clean. It's not perfect, but take like a finisher product or a spray wax or something to create just a little lubricant. Spray it on there, rub it on, rub the spot until it stops making noise. It does work. Look at the overspray it's taken off. Works out quite well, but since I've got it all over the car, I'm looking for maybe a little slightly faster method. The thing we're going to do, put some solvent on the non-tinted microfiber. And let's give this area a nice wipe down. And what does that do? Just like washing the car, but look at the black.
And I can do this a lot faster than I can play the entire thing.
Okay, so we've got this section of the car is wiped down with the body solvent. And it's nice and quiet. You don't feel any overspray. That took about probably 5 minutes elapsed time. I probably might find a way to be able to tape that better next time. So it took about 5 minutes to wipe this whole quarter down, and now I'm going to go back with a very easy abrasive. Matter of fact, it was suggested to me that I use Menzerna 400. Evidently the industry loves this stuff. It actually starts off with a little bit of a cut, and then as you use it, turns into more of a polish. So it's soft to begin with and actually gets softer. And I will be using just a dual action rather than a circular buffer. You don't want to burn the paint. This is, as you probably have been able to tell already, this is not a show car paint job. This is just a good driver quality paint. I thought I'd take a couple of minutes to show you the tools that I'm using during this project. First of all, the two pads I'm using. This one's still pretty soft, but it's got a, if you could feel it, and I'll provide a close-up for you here in just a second. If you feel it, you feel a little bit of a scratch, not quite as rough as something you'd use to wash dishes or scrub pots and pans, but just enough to provide a little bit of abrasiveness when it's working on the car. And this one is more almost like a dense foam you'd feel in a pillow or a mattress, or that you use when you're working on seats in the car. But it's pretty soft. It's more of an applicator, but it does a great job of polishing. Both of these I got from, we have a local Majestic Solutions, and they were kind enough to provide them for me. The other thing, kind of a quick tip, I store them in a plastic bag to keep them from drying out. Seems to work well for me. The tool itself is a Porter Cable 6-inch dual action polisher, buffer, whatever you want to call it. Not only does this spin, but it moves in a back and forth in a pattern, so it doesn't do the same thing twice. Between this pad and this action, you cannot, it's almost impossible to overheat the surface of the paint. If you're a professional, I've heard the guys that are using the circular ones with the wool pads can actually get more out of paint than they can with this. However, you really need to know what you're doing with those, or you can create too much heat in an instant and end up burning the surface of your paint. I like this one because it's, I'll say it nicely, it's me-proof. This handle is removable. It just unscrews simply. You can put it on either side. You can take it off completely. If you need access to a kind of a tight area, just take the handle off. It's really easy. This thing only weighs about maybe 8 or 9 pounds. The other thing is keep plenty of microfiber towels. These things, I've tried washing them and they do come clean, but they don't come as clean as they are when they're new. So I usually try to keep a handful of them on hand. Anytime you're doing buffing or waxing, polishing, cleaning windows or whatever, there's just nothing better than a microfiber. Here are the chemicals that I've been using. Clearly I got the chemicals from Majestic Solutions, the auto body solvent, the Menzerna 400. This stuff works beautifully, it's fantastic. And the Menzerna Color Lock Carnauba Wax. The polish that this was able to provide is magnificent. I really like this. And if you go online and look at these, I haven't found a bad comment about them yet. So anyway, we're going to go back and finish up the rest of the car. If you've ever done any buffing or polishing, you definitely want to use an apron. Keeps your wife from getting mad at you. So this is the fun part. This is the part that's relaxing. Let you think about not worrying about what happens during the week. So as you can see, this is actually a burgundy pad, so I've got it treated with the cutter already. I've got some on the thing here, so I'm not going to be applying any pressure, just letting the weight of the tool rest and do what it does. So we'll see how this goes. All right, let's see if after 10 minutes of work, you can tell a difference. Remember, in this one spot here, we had a lot of black up in this area here. Wiping it down, and you can see if we can follow this reflection right along here. We had some spots that were really flatted before, and you can see they're not perfectly gone, but I think that's just imperfections in the paint. But it's 100% better. Microfiber on the hood. Listen to this. Come over here. Pretty easy. And you can do square feet at a time rather than square inches. And the shine doesn't come out too bad either. That's with no wax. That's just completely stripping it. All right, so let's run a test now. Same test as before, we'll just pick a couple random spots. I think I already did this spot. Let's see. Clean. Clean. Looks like this is working out rather well. Looks like it's time to polish. Now we're moving to a soft foam. We're just going to apply some polish to this thing, get as much shine out of this paint as we can. Well, in about an hour, a little bit of elbow grease, the bird's white again. I guess if I'd have thought about it a little bit more, I probably would have been more careful with the spray can, and I'll certainly do that next time, but it's nice to know how to fix it once you mess something up. So I guess this is how we become experts, right? I'll see you next time. So here's the finished product, and everything's white.